I'm hoping that this reveals something for you and helps you truly accept that dream work is a path to your genuine transformative healing, okay? Because I think that there's a misconception in dream work, and I think that people are afraid of it, honestly. And here's one of the myths I think that they are confused by. Well, the way I said that was very confusing, so let me try again. I think the problem is that people think that once a dream reveals something about them, they're going to have to fix that thing. And that keeps you from remembering dreams. And when you find out that I'm a dream expert, you're like, oh man, I wish I remembered my dreams. I don't. So that's not true. It's not true that if you dream of, a torrid relationship with a coworker that reveals genuinely some, a crush or whatever, that it means you either have to eliminate that crush, it's a problem you're going to have to fix because dreams are threatening to reveal that about you, or it's a directive that you're going to have to face it and speak up and, you know, um, see if that person returns the, like you're going to have to confront the feeling. It's not true. Dreams are not giving you an ultimatum about the issue that they're bringing forward. And once you recognize that, well, once you learn to trust that that's true, you'd have to be able to believe me, I guess, or, have your own experiences that help you trust that that's true. But once you trust that that's true, dreams become a much safer playground for you, for your healing and for your exploration of your feelings. So let's talk about that example. Let's talk about dreaming of a intimate encounter with a coworker that you, okay, find them, good looking, but you would never in waking life actually act on that. And you have no intention of like following that down a path of any sort of development of any relationship, okay? So Carl Jung is the most famous person to talk about this concept of the hidden self and the shadow work that we do in our personal healing journey. He's not the only one to talk about it, by the way, but he is the one that gets discussed, right? And I think he may have given us the term shadow work. He talks about the parts of ourselves that we reject and get relegated to the unconscious. And then anything in the unconscious is fuel for potential dreams. So if you have an encounter with your coworker that triggers that unconscious attraction, it could trigger an intimate dream to occur. So we're going to look at the two extremes of what we tend to think it means and why that happens. And then we're going to look at the reality of why that or how that dream can be useful for you, okay? So the two extremes are, and here's why we feel like dreams give us an ultimatum. When you wake up, so when you go to sleep, your waking mind turns off, okay? The waking mind, there are so many more academically accurate terms for all of this, by the way. You'll find in all of my content, I just use Pam words and I just trust that you guys are smarter than me and can find the academic language, okay? Your waking mind goes to sleep. Your waking mind is driven by logic and order, and the ego is in charge because having control of your thoughts and your actions is healthy in a society, and it helps you function day to day, okay? So that part goes to sleep, and the dreaming mind comes on board and generates all the weirdness and atrocities and all of those things, because the dreaming mind is not ruled by logic and order. I have a whole video series on this inside Pam's Place if you're wanting to go to the open lessons and free resources in there. So the dreaming mind is the one that generates, right? Which is not fueled by logic or order. But when you wake up and remember that dream, you're remembering it through the lens of your waking mind. So your logical conclusion is the dream is telling me I have to have control, I have to do something, I have to put order around the images that came up. So when you wake up from a torrid, intimate dream about a coworker, your mind goes to those two polar extremes, which is, oh no, this is true, and now I have to be afraid that this is going to come to fruition in waking life. Or, oh no, I've told on myself, and now I have to stop having those feelings. Those are your two extremes, okay? And that's why you tend to jump to those conclusions when you wake up. We all do it. I'm a dream expert. I do it, right? When I wake up, my logical, ordered thinking comes on board, and it's like, well, we have to take control and do something about this. What's more true is that your dreaming mind helps you digest and process and normalize those feelings by way of the dream experiences in story form, and analogies and all the tricks of the dreaming mind, so that it doesn't continue to build up pressure in the unconscious and come out in a sideways behavior in waking life. Okay, again, Pam words, I don't even know that that made sense to any of you, so let me try again. When you deny what is true, like if you're like, I mean, sure, he's attractive, but I don't want to talk about that because I don't want you to think that I'm actually going to act on something like that, or I don't want you to mistrust me, or I don't want you to bring it up every time he comes around. When you deny the reality of the feeling that you get, then it gets relegated to the unconscious. And the more you deny it, the harder you deny it, the more pressure it builds under the unconscious of like, we're going to have to surface this somewhere, because otherwise it's gaining energy and momentum. Every time you deny it, it gains energy and momentum in the dream space, potentially to show up in a dream more and more dramatically. So it's dreaming of that crush in that intimate way is like a pressure valve release. So you can normalize that this is just a normal thing, okay? I'm going to go back to Jung, and I want to explain the example that he uses in one of his books. I think it's Memories, Dreams, and Reflections, where he starts to explain the shadow. And the example that I remember, y'all tell me if it's not that book, if there's where this is from. The example that I remember is that he said, basically, if any one of us were walking down a road and we found a baby bird struggling that had fallen out of its nest on the road, and we picked that baby bird up, we would have two instincts. One is to protect this baby bird and take care of it and nurture it, or put it back where it belongs and put it in its safe. But the other is, this tiny bird I could really crush in my hand. And because that's such a shocking idea that we wouldn't act on, we go, oh God, I don't know what that was. Never think about that again. And that's how it gets relegated into the unconscious. So our ego sort of determines what's acceptable for us to feel and what's not acceptable for us to feel. And the things that are not acceptable for us to feel are the things that get relegated to the unconscious. Okay, we've taken a cheating dream, which is such a fun topic, and gone way deep. But that's kind of what I do. That's the whole purpose of me being here and talking about all of this stuff with dreams. So the whole goal is to normalize that dreams are not telling you have to address this issue or you're doomed, or dreams are not threatening to take control and reveal something about you. They are, my little puppy just came in the door. They are helping you process the things that are building up pressure so that they don't have to be acted on in waking life. You can appreciate them for an expression of a truth that doesn't have to be fixed sometimes. Sometimes you might choose to fix it. And maybe that'll be the topic of the next conversation we have. Anyway, let me know if you're here and still listening, if you like this content, and what else we should talk about when it comes to the dream space and your emotional intelligence. Okay, sweet dreams.